Welcome to the Chapter Hearth. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. Happy listening! Oh, honey, no one loves you as much as I do. I feigned tenderness, addressing Brandon Thorne. The woman next to him turned visibly green with rage. If I didn't make her blood boil, my name isn't Scarlet. I continued to snuggle up to Brandon. Honey, I think she's getting mad. The woman couldn't take it anymore and stormed off in a huff. Back home, I scratched my leg and called David. Okay, baby, that stalker girl who's been bothering you, I took care of her.
Took care of what? Seriously? I've been waiting for you all night. Where on earth did you disappear to?
After a bit of back and forth, I suddenly realized, oh my God, I seduced the wrong person. No way! I tried to argue, but it was at Starbucks. A super handsome guy in black with a girl in a white dress and long hair next to him. Every detail matched. Which Starbucks did you go to? The one at our usual intersection?
Scarlett Henderson! This time, we agreed on the Starbucks at Grand Central Plaza.
Chloe's voice screamed through the phone, nearly bursting my eardrum.
Uh-oh.
I immediately flinched, forcing a laugh. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. You clumsy idiot. You're as beautiful as a fairy, but it's useless if you can't even get the seduction right.
Chloe chewed me out, saying it was a waste of my E-cup chest. I held my head high, proud. Next time, I'll definitely help you succeed. You better do it right, or you can give back the bag I bought you. Don't worry, I promise to complete the mission. As soon as I heard Chloe's threat, I quickly reassured her. After hanging up, I was still confused. If I had mistaken someone else, why didn't the man in black deny it from the beginning? He just let me sit next to him, calling him honey, and even performed a full coquette act in front of his girlfriend. He was just a stranger, so I quickly pushed him to the back of my mind. The next day, Chloe personally drove to pick me up and take me to her place, afraid I'd mistake someone else again.
My brother is about to marry that girl. She looks fragile and delicate, but she's a real coquette user. Besides being pretty, she only knows how to flatter men, and that's it.
Chloe gritted her teeth. The girl she was talking about was Evelyn Reed. Rumor had it she was very cunning. She'd only known Chloe's brother for 2 months, and he'd already opened a nail salon for her and bought her designer clothes. I heard he was even planning to buy her a house. Chloe was fuming. She and Brandon had grown up together. Brandon had never bought her a house or opened a store for her, yet he was spending money like water on a woman he'd only known for 2 months. The house Evelyn Reed was eyeing was a 3-bedroom, 1-living-room style, quite spacious, with a down payment of over $300,000. Luckily, Brandon didn't have enough cash, or it would have been bought long ago. That's intense, but why do you hate her so much? What if they're genuinely in love?
She was my college classmate. She stole my boyfriend. What kind of person Evelyn Reed is, I know all too well.
Chloe was shaking with anger.
But no matter what I say, my brother doesn't believe me. It's like he's under a spell.
We returned to the Thorne family's estate, where the lights inside were blazing brightly.
Later, you have to try and charm my brother. I don't believe he won't be moved when he sees you.
I promise to complete the mission. But as soon as I stepped into the living room, under the sparkling crystal chandelier, I saw a familiar man sitting on the sofa, chatting happily with Chloe's parents. He had thick, neatly cut short hair, deep-set eyes beneath a high forehead, and sharp facial features. He spoke softly with the Thorn parents, casually raising a teacup to sip. His fingers were long and slender, joints clearly defined, skin as white and cold as snow, looking like a sculpted piece of jade. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning. Wasn't this the man I had so diligently tried to charm at Starbucks yesterday?
Uncle Ethan, you're here.
Isn't this my childhood friend from next door?
I stood to one side, frozen like a statue.
Uncle Ethan? Such a high-ranking relative?
The man looked up, glancing at me. His deep eyes narrowed slightly, a smile playing on his lips, yet not quite a smile. "This is my childhood friend?" I was speechless. Yesterday, I was practically sitting on his lap, exposing myself like that. Now, hearing it from his mouth, I wanted to scratch my leg in embarrassment right then and there.
Do you two know each other?
This is my...
Oh, no, we don't. The moment he opened his mouth, I immediately lunged forward and clapped my hand over it, afraid he'd accidentally spill the embarrassing details from yesterday. The room fell silent. By the time I realized what I was doing, I wanted to disappear into the ground. My palm clearly felt the softness and warmth of his lips. I tried to use all my brain power to break the awkwardness when the man spoke.
How long are you going to keep my mouth shut?
"Oh, I just saw a mosquito land on your lip. It was a natural reflex. You don't blame me, do you?" The man raised an eyebrow slightly, his voice deep and husky.
I don't blame you.
I silently sighed in relief, immediately changed the subject, and pretended as if nothing had happened. Chloe stood there, eyes wide and jaw dropped. A moment later, she pulled me aside and whispered, asking what had just happened. I quickly recounted the story and asked for her help in explaining. Chloe walked over and said a few words to her uncle, Ethan Thorn. He looked at me and nodded slightly, agreeing to keep my secret. I felt completely relieved. 10 minutes later, a surprised and joyful male voice rang out.
Mom, Dad, I brought Evelyn. Oh, Uncle Ethan, you're here too?
I turned my head and saw a couple entering through the door. The man was tall and handsome, with an attractive face and large, round eyes that held a hint of adorable innocence. The woman wore a white dress, her black hair cascading over her shoulders, looking at first glance like a delicate, artistic student with a refined and gentle face.
That's my brother.
That's my brother. Chloe pointed towards the young man, who was now chatting intimately with the tall man, then gestured with her eyes towards the girl in the white dress.
Evelyn Reed? She is really pretty. I'm serious. Her face isn't as pretty as yours, and her figure is even worse.
What? I don't have that.
Don't sell yourself short. Go for it.
Evelyn Reed seemed to notice me as well, and she politely nodded a greeting.
See? Is she pretending or not?
I'm not pretending. I gently tossed my voluminous curly hair and flashed Evelyn Reed a charming smile. Her eyes immediately filled with caution and distaste. I was all too familiar with that envious look. I could spot it in a glance. It seems Evelyn Reed isn't as innocent as she looks.
Brandon, this is my best friend, Scarlett Henderson.
Hello.
Hello? Hello? Brandon Thorn, having just finished talking with his uncle Ethan, turned to look at me, his eyes clearly showing surprise mixed with a touch of infatuation. I smiled back. Evelyn Reed subtly shifted, squeezing in between Brandon and me, then discreetly linked her arm through his. Brandon didn't notice this small action, but I saw everything. I hadn't even done anything. Did she need to be so defensive? The entire family sat on the sofa, chatting. Thanks to my best friend, I learned that her uncle, Ethan Thorne, was extremely talented. Years ago, he struck out on his own, even making a fortune gem trading in Myanmar, then founded a jewelry brand, continuously opening companies, and now his assets amounted to hundreds of millions of dollars. Evelyn Reed's eyes lit up upon hearing this, and she continuously tried to strike up a conversation with Ethan Thorne. In my eyes, her intentions were too obvious. Eating from one bowl while I in another? Ethan Thorne responded indifferently, and she, being clever, stopped at just the right moment. Brandon, meanwhile, remained utterly oblivious. When it was time for dinner, Ethan Thorne suddenly looked at me. For some reason, I immediately understood his intention. He wanted me to sit next to him. Just as I was about to pull out a chair, a figure was one step faster, snatching my spot and then gesturing for Brandon to sit beside her. It was Evelyn Reed. Her move was incredibly swift and elegant, leaving no trace of her having deliberately claimed the spot. The other side of Ethan Thorne was occupied by Mr. and Mrs. Thorne. I had no choice but to glumly sit next to Chloe, silently eating my dinner.
Miss Henderson, please make yourself at home.
It's fine. He added a few more polite remarks. After dinner, I went to the restroom to touch up my lipstick. Before long, Evelyn Reed also entered, her face icy cold.
How dare you try to seduce my boyfriend?
Excuse me? I was just sitting there. How did that turn into seducing someone else's boyfriend?
During dinner, you kept giving him flirtatious glances. I'm not blind.
I'm speechless. Brandon started the conversation first.
I've seen many girls like you. First, you befriend the rich young ladies, then you get close to their family and friends. Brandon is the man I chose. You'd better know your place and stay away from him.
Who chose Brandon? My eyes are on Ethan Thorne. As soon as I finished speaking, I opened the door and immediately came face to face with Ethan Thorne, who was standing right outside. He looked at me, his eyes half smiling, half not.
So, you're interested in me?
I was speechless. How could the Thorne family mansion not have separate restrooms for men and women? Just as I was feeling mortified, Evelyn Reed emerged from inside, her eyes red as if she had been terribly bullied. I was speechless. Ethan Thorne, as expected, spoke up.
Miss Reed, what's wrong?
It's nothing, Mr. Thorne. Just a small misunderstanding between girls. I'm sure Miss Henderson won't make the same mistake again.
One sentence immediately placed all the blame on me. I thought. I was never one to be easily bullied, so I immediately retorted. What mistake did I make? Brandon started talking to me first, and I merely responded. Is that what you call seducing your boyfriend?
Miss Henderson, if a proper, innocent girl knows someone has a girlfriend, she should know to keep her distance. You can't just intentionally have intimate conversations that lead others to misunderstand. No respectable girl flirts with men.
She feigned the look of a chaste and virtuous lady, implying I was a loose woman, subtly accusing me of being improper. Many men are easily swayed by such prejudices. If a girl talks to the opposite sex, she's immediately considered unserious. If Ethan Thorne thought that way too, I'd be branded negatively. Evelyn Reed thought, this will make me too scared to talk to Brandon again. She miscalculated. I raised an eyebrow slightly, then unexpectedly moved closer to Ethan Thorne, speaking coyly. Oh, Miss Reed, are you that conservative? But I always talk like this. Not just with Brandon. I talk to you like this too. Right, Ethan? Ethan Thorne turned to look at me, his eyes seeming to say, I really don't know what to say to you anymore. I continued to widen my innocent eyes. If the way I talk makes Miss Reed feel uncomfortable, that's not my fault, you know? Miss Reed, don't be so aggressive. You're making me want to cry. Doesn't she like to pretend to be pitiful? I can act too, you know. I covered my face, feigning tears. In truth, I hadn't reached Evelyn Reed's level of instantaneous crying, so I could only pretend by covering my face. Evelyn Reed's face immediately stiffened. She then glanced pitifully at Ethan Thorne. I was a little worried that Ethan Thorne would side with her and make me lose face, but he spoke up.
I don't want to get involved in your personal matters. Right now, I only care about one thing.
What?
Could you two move aside? I really need to use the restroom.
Evelyn Reed and I were speechless. Both of us immediately moved to the sides, clearing the way. Under our gaze, Ethan Thorne calmly walked into the restroom. That afternoon, we went up to the third floor to play billiards. The atmosphere was somewhat tense. Evelyn Reed provoked me, and of course, I didn't let it slide. Throughout the entire game, the two of us silently competed, inch by inch. While playing billiards, I shamelessly struck up a conversation with Brandon Thorne. Brandon sank a ball, and Evelyn Reed immediately cooed sweetly.
You're so amazing, honey.
Oh my gosh, Brandon, you're so good. I don't know how to play at all. It was clearly an act, but Brandon Thorne loved it. What a coincidence. I also know how to put on a coquette act. Evelyn Reed's face darkened. Brandon sank another ball. I immediately cupped my cheeks, my eyes sparkling.
Oh my goodness, Brandon. You can even make trick shots? That's incredible. How do you do it? Oh, fine. Tell me.
And so, throughout the game, I lavished him with all sorts of compliments, praising him so much that Brandon puffed out his chest, brimming with confidence, feeling like he could conquer the world with just a cue stick. Evelyn Reed also wanted to regain the upper hand, but I was sweeter, and she had to maintain her image of purity and virtue, unable to be too over the top, so in the flattery department, I clearly overshadowed her. Brandon, naive and oblivious, didn't realize the two of us were silently battling, looking at me with clear, somewhat foolish eyes, full of gratitude.
You really understand me.
You really understand me.
At this, Evelyn Reed's face turned green. Just as I was chatting intimately with Brandon Thorne, Ethan Thorne walked in from outside, picked up a cue stick, coolly cleared all the balls off the table, then calmly said to a stunned Brandon Thorne,
Some words are nice to hear, but don't mistake them for truth.
I glared at him. He was clearly here to spoil the fun. At this moment, Evelyn Reed saw her chance and began.
Mr. Thorne is absolutely right. Too many compliments just sound fake.
I was just saying Brandon is a good player, so I praised him. Is it wrong to compliment someone? She was clearly scolding me. I wasn't intimidated by the provocation and immediately responded. I bit my lip, putting on a pitiful, innocent expression.
Of course not.
Only Brandon truly understands. Brandon Thorne brightened up again. Chloe shot me a look that said, "You're amazing," then chimed in.
Yeah, what's wrong with complimenting someone? Miss Reed, don't take it to heart.
Chloe had told me that Evelyn Reed used to approach her boyfriends with an innocent face. Every time Chloe lost her temper, Evelyn Reed would act aggrieved, saying, "Oh, but he and I are just friends. How could you misunderstand me like that?" After a few such incidents, Chloe's boyfriend began to see her as an unreasonably jealous girl, constantly getting angry over trivial matters, and they eventually broke up. On the way to the mansion, Chloe recounted her grievances to me for a while. She said that many times Evelyn Reed didn't do anything overtly wrong. She just ate and talked with Chloe's boyfriend, things that, if investigated, would seem like just friendly interactions. If Chloe didn't react, she'd feel stifled, but if she did, she'd be seen as petty. Does she often send your boyfriend pictures of her shopping? Like photos wearing a necklace and asking if it looks good?
Scarlett, how did you know?
I raised an eyebrow and smiled. And she sends pictures trying on clothes too, right? Especially short dresses, asking him which one looks better, the white one or the black one.
Exactly. How do you know all of this? You're amazing.
I burst out laughing. Those are classic coquette tactics. On the surface, she's asking for opinions on a necklace, but in reality, she's showing off her neck and cleavage. Asking to choose a dress is really about showing off her legs. Chloe immediately pulled the car over, her eyes wide as she stared at me.
So these people actually have their own special moves?
Of course they do. Listen carefully. I'm about to impart the coquette scripture to you. Every single word.
I'm listening to every word.
Rule number 1 for a coquette user, your voice must be sweet. When you meet a guy you like, immediately raise your pitch. If he doesn't like that style, be flexible and change it. Rule number 2, subtle, suggestive actions. For example, use the excuse of asking about a necklace to show off your neck and cleavage, or ask to choose a dress to show off your legs. When standing in front of a guy, remember to gently brush your hair back, and it's best to wear a light, soft perfume. Rule number 3, always do everything according to a man's ideal imagination. If they like the pure, innocent type, just say you don't know who Maria Ozawa is and have never been to a club. No matter what a man does, find an angle to praise him to make him happy. If you can do these 3 basic things, a woman, even if not extraordinarily beautiful, can conquer a few boyfriends. The next level is making men willing to spend. A coquette user won't demand money immediately. They usually give small gifts first to test the waters. If the man doesn't reciprocate with a gift, the coquette user understands. No need to continue. Immediately switch to another target.
Scarlett, you're amazing.
I gently tossed my hair. It's nothing, just a lot of life experience. After all, my mother was a well-known master of the coquette game. Growing up by her side since childhood, how could I not know? She was over 50, and for half her life, she lived off men, enjoying a lavish lifestyle. Now, old and fading, she still managed to change her birth year on her documents, claiming to be only 40. She conned a rich, aesthetically blind American man, got a green card, and moved to the U.S. to enjoy her golden years. This level of skill is something most people can't achieve. Back in the room, under my coquette verbal tactics, Evelyn Reed bit her lip, her eyes filled with resentment. The best way to deal with a coquette user is to use her own tactics to corner her. She pretended, and I pretended even more. She praised, and I praised better. Most importantly, I was prettier than her. Without any advantage, she began to get anxious, and the more anxious she became, the easier it was to expose her flaws.
But why do you only compliment my boyfriend? Someone who didn't know would think you're Brandon's girlfriend.
Oh, is Miss Reed getting jealous? You won't even let me compliment your boyfriend. I covered my mouth in feigned surprise. Don't misunderstand, Brandon. I are nothing.
Evelyn, there are so many people here. Don't assume things.
Evelyn Reed intended to argue back, but ultimately held it in. She understood that if she continued to bicker with Brandon, she would only bring about her own defeat. A coquette user, of course, understood that principle. I don't just compliment one person. If I caused you to misunderstand, then I apologize. I immediately pressed close to Ethan Thorne, my voice as sweet as honey. Ethan, you played really well just now.
Miss Henderson, are you truly complimenting me?
Evelyn Reed was speechless. The 3 classic coquette moves. Oh, I didn't know you were here. Sister, why are you mad at me? He and I are just friends. Now I'm using them on her. Evelyn Reed's face alternated between white and green. She was utterly speechless. Ethan Thorne narrowed his eyes, asking, his smile giving me goosebumps. I maintained my gentle smile. Of course it's true. So, Ethan, between you and Brandon, who's better? He asked this question clearly to put me on the spot. All eyes immediately turned to me. Even Brandon Thorne looked over. One wrong answer, and I was toast. But was I scared? I smiled sweetly. Both of you are excellent. Brandon made incredible trick shots, picking the perfect angles, which is very difficult to do. And Mr. Thorne, your control over the force is superb. In short, both of you can do things others can't.
If I forced you to choose one person as better, what then?
This guy is annoying. Next to me, Evelyn Reed saw me put in a difficult position and immediately broke into an unconcealed smile of delight.
Miss Henderson, tell us, who's better?
Both are truly excellent. It's really hard to choose. But if we're talking about playing billiards... I glanced around the room, then smiled gracefully. I picked up the cue stick, bent down gracefully, and bang, 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 sank all the balls on the table into the pockets. As the last ball rolled into the net, I stood up, beaming. Then neither of you is as good as me! The entire room was stunned, jaws agape. The ultimate rule of a true coquette user: when tricks no longer work, use your actual skill to speak. Because before absolute power, all schemes are meaningless. Ethan Thorne looked at me in surprise, while Brandon Thorne's eyes lit up as if he had just seen the first spring moon. Taking advantage of the scene being dominated by my aura, I turned to ask Brandon Thorne. Brandon, between you and your uncle, who do you think is more formidable?
Uncle Ethan is formidable, but not as formidable as you.
Mr. Thorne, Brandon said it himself. You're even more formidable than he is. Are you satisfied with that answer? Ethan Thorne stared at me, his deep eyes unfathomable. A coquette user's trick when faced with an unanswerable question: immediately redirect attention, regain the initiative, and diffuse the awkward situation. After the billiards game, Chloe gave me a thumbs up.
Scarlett, you're amazing. I never knew you had such hidden talents.
I smiled. Ultimately, a coquette user only pretends to be weak to win over men, but a person can't pretend their whole life. It's too tiring. So, in the end, you still have to compete with real strength. After that match, I became the center of attention in the room, hogging all the limelight. More importantly, I had attracted the attention of both men. For a coquette user, this was even more upsetting than having water thrown in her face. Evelyn Reed then pressed close to Brandon Thorne, coyly suggesting,
I don't know how to play billiards. Why don't we play something else, like cards? I feel so awkward just sitting here.
I smirked. I was absolutely sure that card games were her forte. Once Evelyn Reed started getting jealous and losing her composure, it meant she was at a disadvantage. She would definitely try her best to perform to regain men's attention. At her suggestion, the group started playing Texas Hold'em. As expected, Evelyn Reed was very good at cards. She easily won the first hand.
You're so good, Evelyn.
It's just average.
Playing Texas Hold'em doesn't just rely on luck, it also requires calculation skills. Many fund managers choose this game as a form of entertainment.
So, Evelyn, your mental math skills are excellent?
Not necessarily that much.
Evelyn Reed smiled gently at Ethan Thorne, as if thanking him for recognizing her abilities. At the same time, she used extremely professional shuffling techniques, dealing the cards perfectly evenly, which made Brandon's eyes light up. Evelyn Reed glanced at me, her eyes seeming to ask, "So, what do you think?" I blinked innocently. "Miss Reed, you're truly amazing. Unlike me, I'm terrible at math."
Miss Henderson, you're exaggerating. But you're so beautiful, you don't even need to try.
Is she implying I'm just a pretty face? Does she think I'll get angry? I grinned widely. That's right, being beautiful is enough. I don't have any grand ambitions. I just want to marry a good husband and enjoy life at home. As I spoke, I casually tossed my hair and glanced at Brandon Thorne. Sure enough, Brandon's gaze was immediately captivated. Evelyn Reed's face twitched slightly.
Let's continue playing cards.
Just as I was about to employ a few more tactics to annoy Evelyn Reed, Ethan Thorne's voice suddenly cut across my actions. Evelyn Reed quickly chimed in.
That's right, let's keep playing.
She even deliberately sent a thankful look towards Ethan Thorne, then subtly bowed her head and gently tucked her hair behind her ear. I turned to whisper to Chloe, who was sitting next to me. Watch carefully. Coquette users often do this when seducing men.
Huh?
Chloe looked at me with an innocent expression, just like her brother, beyond salvation. I sighed, lowered my head slightly, feigning a blush and embarrassment, then gently tucked my hair behind my ear. Did you get it?
Got it.
Good. Now you try it once. Chloe immediately took her hair out of its tie and vigorously tossed it. The movement was so exaggerated that her hair flew wildly like an possessed ghost. I was speechless. Never mind, not everyone has the talent. Next, the cards were dealt.
Wow, great hand.
Are you going to win again, Evelyn?
Evelyn Reed smiled and nodded, placing her cards on the table. In her hand, she had a 4, 6, 7 B. She just needed a few more cards to get us straight.
Are you in?
You must have a good hand. I fold.
Chloe also folded. All eyes turned to Ethan Thorne and me. Ethan Thorne looked at his cards for a moment, then also folded. His hand looked pretty messy. The probability of getting a straight was very low.
What about you, Miss Henderson?
Miss Reed, I bet you're bluffing us. Your hand might not be that great. Playing cards isn't just about calculation. It's also a psychological battle.
Oh, really? So, do you dare to bet with me?
What should we bet on?
Well,
She thought I would back down.
$1,000.
Miss Reed, that's too stingy. How about we bet the necklace around your neck? If I lose, I'll buy you an identical one. But if you lose, you give me yours. What do you say?
Evelyn Reed's expression subtly changed. That necklace was worth over $10,000. So, Miss Reed? Miss Reed. Evelyn Reed glanced at my cards, pondered for a few seconds, then gritted her teeth and nodded.
Fine.
Another round then. Let's reveal our cards. Evelyn Reed put her cards down. They were all junk cards, no straight at all. I smiled brightly and revealed 2 cards. I'm sorry, Miss Reed. It seems my calculation skills are a bit better than yours. I win. I dared to bet because I had calculated the probability that her hand couldn't form a straight. Sorry, I'm just a bit too good at math. My mother used to make me compete in math competitions from a young age, earning certificates that she used as proof of her excellent parenting to attract wealthy men looking for virtuous wives and daughters-in-law. She also invested in countless skills for me, targeting the rich elite. I knew a lot of tricks. The coquette law. Only a coquette user with actual ability can be called a luxury coquette user. In most of the subsequent card games, I won. Evelyn Reed's face grew increasingly unpleasant. She opened her mouth to ask.
Miss Henderson, you're so good at cards, and you know how to play billiards too? You must go out a lot, right?
That's right, I do go out a lot. Evelyn Reed deliberately twisted my words.
Such proficient skills. You must be out playing every day.
I guess 2 or 3 times a week. Brandon Thorne's expression subtly changed, and Ethan Thorne also raised an eyebrow. Evelyn Reed put on a contemplative act.
I'm afraid it's not just that, is it? No wonder Miss Henderson is so good at cards. Unlike me, I used to study hard, and my parents strictly forbade me from going out to play. After graduation, I've been working tirelessly, always doing overtime, not like Miss Henderson, who seems to roam around freely every day.
Hey, what makes you think Scarlett is out on the streets every day? What you're saying makes it sound like Scarlett doesn't care about work or anything.
I didn't say she doesn't care about work. Brandon, listen.
As she spoke, she hid behind Brandon Thorne. Brandon immediately went into boyfriend defense mode, extending his arm to shield her.
Chloe, what are you saying? Don't make unreasonable trouble.
After that, Chloe fumed and asked me,
Why did you admit that you go out a lot? She's pretending to be a good girl, pure and innocent. You should know better. Look, now my brother's back to liking her and not you.
No, that's not it. In the rules of coquette, there's a principle. Never lie about big things unless you're absolutely sure you can keep that lie secret for a very long time.
What do you mean?
Evelyn Reed lowered me to elevate herself, not even hesitating to lie. But that's a huge mistake. Why is it wrong? Because when she elevates herself too high, men will place even greater expectations on her. And the higher the expectation, the lower the tolerance for error. In other words, she's digging her own grave. I patiently explained. When a bad person does something bad, everyone sees it as normal. When an ordinary person makes a mistake, people easily overlook it, thinking everyone makes mistakes sometimes. But for someone who portrays herself as a standard bearer, a highly moral wife, if she makes even a small mistake, others will immediately turn their backs on her. When that image shatters, no matter how many good things she did before, they will all be peeled away and distorted into bad things. That's the avalanche effect of a personality collapse.
Ah, I get it.
Chloe suddenly understood. I turned and smiled gently. Suppose you once thought I was an absolutely perfect friend. Then one day you discovered I deliberately approached you with an agenda. Would you forgive me? Chloe paused for a few seconds. I chuckled and continued. Actually, Evelyn Reed wasn't wrong. I really did intentionally approach you and pretend to be your friend. Chloe made a sound and then gave me a firm pat on the back.
But someone like you, who's beautiful and sweet, with such a perfect figure, even if you intentionally approached me, I'd willingly accept it.
I'm speechless. Soon after, Brandon Thorne led us down to the wine cellar to drink. I naturally took a glass, took a sip, evaluated the wine, then drank it all.
Miss Henderson, are you knowledgeable about wine?
I know a little, not much. The atmosphere was harmonious. But Evelyn Reed was not content and immediately interjected.
Miss Henderson must go out drinking a lot, right? So impressive.
Not necessarily, just occasionally. Brandon and I were having quite a pleasant conversation, but we paused at her remark. Miss Reed, don't you drink?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't drink alcohol. My family is very traditional, and my parents directly forbid it.
Pretending to be pure and innocent? Doesn't she ever get tired? I raised an eyebrow, too lazy to respond, and continued chatting with Brandon Thorne. I talked animatedly about different types of wine, displaying my extensive knowledge. Evelyn Reed, lacking sufficient knowledge, could only interject a few questions from the side.
Where does Miss Henderson usually go drinking? Do you often go to bars and nightclubs?
She tried to corner me once, but it wasn't enough, so she continued a second time.
How much would one have to drink to remember the names and tastes of so many different wines?
Brandon Thorne's gaze began to change, filled with suspicion. Ethan Thorne also stared at me, as if waiting to see how I would react. I maintained my smile. It's true, I have been to bars and I have been to nightclubs.
Oh.
Evelyn Reed immediately covered her mouth, feigning shock.
How can a respectable girl go to places like bars and nightclubs? I never have. Oh, Miss Henderson, I don't mean anything by it, of course.
Is going to bars and nightclubs considered being a bad girl? How many times do I have to go to be considered bad? If I've only been once, does that count?
You know so many types of wine. How could it only be once?
Miss Reed, are you implying I'm not a good girl? Have you ever seen me at a bar? You've never met me, so how can you slander me without any basis?
She clearly wanted to drown me. I put on a sad expression. I know about wine because I majored in viticulture.
That's right. Scarlett was the valedictorian of her viticulture program. It's normal for her to be knowledgeable.
Evelyn Reed was stunned. I turned to look at Brandon Thorne, my eyes red-rimmed. Just because I know how to play cards, I'm considered a gambler? Just because I know how to drink, I'm labeled a bad girl who frequents nightclubs?
No, of course not.
No, of course not. I ignored him, burst into tears, and turned to run out of the mansion. As soon as I was out the door, I immediately texted Chloe. Wait and see. If they don't fight, we'll implement Plan B. Chloe replied instantly, understood. That weekend, Chloe came to find me. When she entered the room, I was disheveled, my face unwashed, lying sprawled on the bed, sleeping like a log. Chloe immediately bristled with annoyance.
You've been holed up at home all day again, haven't you? What a waste of your stunning beauty. Look at you, all disheveled. And you're teaching me how to be a coquette user? Get up now. Oh, come on, sis, don't. I was editing videos until 3 a.m. last night.
She dragged me out of bed and pulled me straight into the bathroom, forcing me to wash my face and brush my teeth. I moaned as I squeezed out toothpaste. Currently, I was a beauty vlogger, specializing in filming makeup tutorials and cosmetic advertisements. My income was decent, and I had a considerable number of male fans. But the funny thing was that most of the rude comments in my comment section were from girls. Male fans only made up about 10% and rarely interacted. All the catty remarks under my videos were from women. Chloe gleefully told me what happened after I left. As expected, Brandon Thorne and Evelyn Reed had a big fight. Brandon Thorne believed she had intentionally targeted me and didn't seem like a good person at all. Of course, Evelyn Reed built up an image of a gentle, virtuous saint, and then she dared to slander me in front of everyone. Brandon Thorne, knowing this, would certainly doubt her character. I slowly wiped my face with a towel as I spoke. I told you, the more perfectly someone portrays themselves, the harder it is for people to forgive them if they make even a small mistake.
Now my brother is starting to believe what I've been saying about Evelyn Reed. He used to scold me for making things up, but it's normal. People only believe what they see with their own eyes. I just overheard my brother on the phone saying he wouldn't buy Evelyn Reed a house anymore. I was so happy I immediately ran over to tell you.
I'm speechless.
You dragged me out of bed just for that? Of course not. Uncle Ethan invited us to a dinner party tonight. That Evelyn Reed is a cunning fox. She sweet-talked my brother into agreeing to bring her along. And since my brother is bringing her, I have to bring you to counterattack.
Uncle Ethan? Ethan Thorne? He actively invites guests? I certainly wouldn't miss this opportunity. Ethan Thorne's mansion was incredibly spacious. While not as opulent and gold-plated as the Thorne family's main residence, its walls were adorned with genuine paintings by famous artists, and shelves were filled with art pieces, the cheapest of which was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Rumor had it that Ethan Thorne's assets were only in the hundreds of millions, but I suspected that was a significant understatement. A shiver ran down my spine. This man was truly not simple. His wealth was deeply hidden, and he was not easy to deal with.
Scarlett, you absolutely have to put Evelyn Reed in her place later. Make her learn some manners.
Evelyn Reed isn't the type to be easily bullied. Last time, I made her and Brandon argue. She definitely won't let it go. She might even pull a bigger stunt. As soon as I stepped into the grand hall, I saw Ethan Thorne wearing a well-fitted gray suit, his hair thick, his eyes deep and sharp. His name sounded old-fashioned. According to Chloe, it was because his parents had him late in life. Perhaps that's why he had a more mature temperament than others. Though there wasn't much age difference, the younger ones in the family were all somewhat wary of him. He sat on a luxurious black leather sofa, composed, his handsome face clearly defined under the warm lighting. If placed in a Republic of China-era film, he would perfectly embody a wealthy young master of old, calm, noble, and unpredictable. Casually, his thin lips curved slightly. His gaze lingered on me for a second, then calmly moved on as if there was nothing special. In the living room, Brandon Thorne and Evelyn Reed were also present, along with a few unfamiliar men and women.
They're all well-known people, either children of tycoons or successful young professionals.
Okay. I nodded slightly and naturally greeted everyone. As soon as Evelyn Reed saw those young masters and ladies, her eyes lit up and her voice immediately shifted to a sweet tone, occasionally accompanied by graceful little gestures. Chloe glanced at her, whispering softly.
Is she trying to flirt with other people? Playing two fields at once?
No, not usually, unless she's absolutely sure the man next to her is useless. High-level coquette users rarely play two fields. There aren't many fools in this circle. If you find someone willing to spend money, you stick to them. Besides, even if she found a fool, her family and friends might not be foolish. If she gets caught red-handed, it's over. I turned to look at the man standing right behind me, smiling subtly. Am I right? Uncle Ethan! Uncle Ethan! Chloe only now noticed Ethan Thorne, startled. That handsome, calm, and composed man had been standing behind us for who knows how long. Perhaps he had heard everything I just said. Ethan Thorne's deep, dark eyes looked at me.
Miss Henderson seems very knowledgeable about coquette tactics and seducing men.
Mr. Thorne, you're right. I truly understand men and women. The remark was quite sharp, making Chloe's expression change slightly. I maintained my bright smile.
Is that so? Then do you understand me?
Mr. Thorne, I don't waste my time trying to understand people I'm not interested in. After speaking, I turned and walked away, leaving Ethan Thorne momentarily stunned. Brandon Thorne had seen me from the beginning, but was held back by Evelyn Reed, so he couldn't approach. Now, unable to hold back any longer, he walked over to me and clinked glasses with me. Evelyn Reed's face turned as black as a pot. A moment later, a servant unexpectedly approached, his face furious.
Miss Henderson, so you're here? Pay up!
Who are you?
The man clenched his fists, his voice full of indignation.
Miss Henderson, your mother has been scamming men everywhere, living a lavish life, and now she's even run off to America. You have to pay the money she owes.
As soon as those words came out, the entire room immediately focused their attention on me. The servant, emboldened, spoke with increasing fervor, recounting all of my mother's great achievements. In his words, my mother was a notorious fraudster, seducing men and swindling money everywhere, even causing his father to go bankrupt. He claimed that I, having grown up with her, surely couldn't be a good person either.
Don't you dare slander her!
Chloe yelled angrily.
I have proof?
The man pulled out a stack of photos from his pocket and distributed them for everyone to see. Ethan Thorne took a few pictures and fell silent. In the photos, my mother was intimately with several men, and in some, I also appeared in the frame. Chloe's face immediately changed. She stammered to explain.
Everyone, don't misunderstand. Scarlett isn't like her mother.
Oh.
Evelyn Reed feigned covering her mouth in surprise.
No wonder Miss Henderson is so good at cards, billiards, and drinking. It turns out she learned from her mother. Living among so many men, it's understandable how quickly she picked up these skills.
She was truly venomous. My eyes reddened slightly. Miss Reed, you're clearly piling on when someone's down.
Oh, did I say something wrong?
She even turned to ask the others. The young men and women nodded continuously. Evelyn Reed's eyes were filled with triumph. I walked up to Ethan Thorne. Mr. Thorne, someone is definitely behind this servant. I ask you to judge fairly for me. All eyes turned to Ethan Thorne. He was the most powerful person in this room. If he sided with me, things could still turn around, but if he despised me, I was finished. After a moment of silence, Ethan Thorne spoke, his voice faint.
Who gave you the photos? Who sent you to disrupt my party?
I'm a victim. I saw Miss Henderson and lost control due to emotion. Besides, with so many photos, Miss Henderson and her mother must have severely hurt others.
The servant's face turned pale. Evelyn Reed interjected.
Are you allowed to speak?
Did you think about the consequences?
Ethan Thorne gave her a cold glance. Evelyn Reed immediately took a step back, falling silent. Ethan Thorne turned and slowly asked the servant. At first, the servant tried to deny it, but Ethan Thorne was very perceptive, his reasoning tight. Bringing out the photos halfway through the party was too suspicious. Moreover, he didn't know I would be attending beforehand, so how could he have prepared the photos in advance? Clearly, someone had instigated him. Under heavy pressure, the servant trembled, unable to bear it any longer, and finally revealed.
It was her. It was Miss Reed who gave me the photos. She arranged everything.
No, it wasn't me. It was you. You wanted to frame Miss Henderson, and you even transferred money to me.
This time, it was Evelyn Reed's turn to be flustered and panicked. Perhaps fearing exposure, Evelyn Reed had directly transferred money to the servant via a payment app, $5,000. The evidence was undeniable. Evelyn Reed had no words left to deny it.
Evelyn, was it you?
Brandon, please let me explain.
I don't want to hear it.
Brandon Thorne looked at Evelyn Reed with disbelief. The girl he once considered the epitome of a virtuous wife and good mother was now exposed. First, she slandered me, And now she even bribed a servant to expose my private past in front of everyone. Even if those photos were real, this dirty act was enough to make anyone nauseous. Brandon Thorne furiously shook off her hand.
Evelyn Reed, we're over! Never see me again!
Evelyn Reed, we're over. Never see me again.
With that, he turned and stormed off, his strides full of anger.
Brandon, don't go.
Evelyn Reed ran after him, but was forcefully pushed away by Brandon Thorne, falling to the ground and bursting into sobs. I knew their relationship was completely over. Things had come to this. The party couldn't continue. Most of the guests gradually excused themselves and left. I quietly left the mansion with Chloe. The night wind was chilling, gusts sweeping across my skin. Some young people passing by shot me glances filled with disdain. I didn't bother to react.
Chloe, I did it.
Brandon and Evelyn Reed broke up.
I'm so sorry. I didn't expect things to turn out like this. Scarlett, I'm so wrong about you.
Chloe's eyes were red as she grasped my hand. Throughout the drive home, Chloe kept blaming herself, saying she shouldn't have dragged me into this. The driver sat in the front, while Chloe and I sat in the back. I leaned my head against the window.
Chloe, I'm fine. As long as you don't hate me, that's all that matters.
How could I ever hate you?
I smiled. The truth is, I really was influenced a lot by my mother. I'm very good at deception. Every time I approach someone, I calculate the benefits. Back then, when I knew you came from a wealthy family, I deliberately became friends with you.
Don't say another word. No matter what, you're still my best friend.
If one day you found out I had lied to you, would you forgive me?
I'd forgive you.
I breathed a sigh of relief and reached out to pat her head. After that night, Evelyn Reed was immediately kicked out of Brandon Thorne's house. Brandon Thorne also stopped contacting me. My background and past were enough to shatter any vague feelings he might have had. For the next period, I did nothing but listen to Chloe recount Evelyn Reed's fate. She clung to Brandon Thorne repeatedly, even threatening to cut her wrists, but she still couldn't sway his heart. Doing so only backfired. The more she acts like that, the more annoyed men become. Men hate being threatened, and a true coquette user would never use that tactic. Using it means she's reached a dead end.
Exactly. The more he was pressured, the angrier my brother got.
Chloe said. Evelyn Reed's persistent clinging annoyed Brandon Thorne so much that he ordered someone to investigate her past. The results revealed that Evelyn Reed's private life was extremely promiscuous. She had been involved with many men and was fundamentally not the virtuous wife and good mother type, which deeply disappointed him. He reclaimed the nail salon he had given her and confiscated all the designer items he had bought for her. When Evelyn Reed came to the club to find him, Brandon Thorne coldly ordered his guards to throw her out. I heard there were many people there at the time, yet my brother still mercilessly drove her out the door, not saving her any face at all. He even demanded all the money he had spent on her and told his friends that Evelyn Reed was a gold digger. To go to such lengths was truly cruel.
I really hate Evelyn Reed, but now I feel a little sorry for her. I thought my brother was kind and easily fooled, but it turns out he can be very heartless too.
Isn't this very clear? If Brandon Thorne genuinely loved Evelyn Reed, even if I used every trick to charm him, he wouldn't have wavered. Evelyn Reed was just putting on an act, and he wasn't truly sincere either. Even without you or me interfering, they would have broken up sooner or later. Once men become cold-hearted, they can be even more ruthless than women. So I sighed softly. In the world of coquette, there's a rule: never underestimate men, and never love a man with your whole heart. Always remember that you yourself are the most important. Chloe nodded profusely, agreeing deeply. After the photo incident, she had accepted that I had deliberately approached her. She asked me why I had approached her. I can't tell you yet. In the following period, I continued to record videos, living my life as usual. But my story didn't end there. My past and background were thoroughly dug up. For example, the fact that my mother had been involved with several wealthy men, but all of them were divorced guys who had no intention of marrying and just wanted to have fun. My mother also didn't want to be tied down, so both sides had a perfect understanding. On the surface, it looked like gold digging, but my mother was never a mistress, nor did she ever break up anyone's family. She knew very well the consequences for a woman without power who challenged the legitimate wife. She wasn't foolish enough to deliberately seek her own demise. Concurrently, my own upbringing was also revealed. I was a bright student from a young age, winning awards in math competitions, and my English scores were excellent. After graduating from high school, I entered college in 2011, completing degrees in accounting and viticulture with outstanding academic results, receiving scholarships numerous times. Later, my mother left with an American man, leaving me on my own. I became independent, working as a photo model to earn tuition. During that time, I was slandered and almost fell into a trap of unspoken rules. Eventually, I decisively quit the profession and focused on making videos at home. I filmed, edited, wrote content, and voiced my own advertisements, gradually accumulating 500,000 fans and achieving financial freedom. When these facts spread, coupled with Chloe's unwavering defense of me, my reputation in the upper circles gradually turned around. Chloe called me,
"Sweetheart, I can't believe how resilient you are. Your mother abandoned you, yet you managed to rise on your own. My parents initially heard about your mother and didn't want me to hang out with you, but after they understood your story, they realized you're someone truly worth befriending. Oh, and my brother feels so bad for you. He keeps hovering around me every day, hoping I'll be a matchmaker. Sweetheart, do you want to be my sister-in-law?"
Chloe kept praising her brother, hoping I would accept his feelings. But that wasn't what I cared about. I asked, "What about Ethan Thorne? Has he said anything yet?"
"Uncle Ethan? He hasn't said anything at all."
No way. Last time, when that servant slandered me, he was the one who investigated and clarified things. That proves he cares. Otherwise, he could have just kicked me out. Yet, there's still no movement from him. This stubborn man is truly hard to win over. Are you sure he didn't say anything? He didn't say anything, but he was the one who investigated your whole story. I wasn't reconciled. I breathed a sigh of relief, flopped down onto the bed, and smiled. He seems aloof, but he still cares, doesn't he? If there's been some movement, I need to push it a step further. From then on, I frequently spent time with Chloe or went to her house to hang out. Occasionally, I would see Ethan Thorne, but I never initiated a conversation with him. What was even more frustrating was that he never said anything to me either. This went on for a few times, and 2 months passed. Could it be that he's not interested in me? I lay sprawled on the bed, thinking. Previously, at the Thorne family mansion, I had deliberately acted coy and even made intimate physical contact with Ethan Thorne, and he hadn't avoided it. It was because those few attempts weren't rejected that I became bolder. If this continues, I might just give up. He's not easily swayed. Just as I was considering letting go, one night after drinking with friends, I went into a small alley to vomit when someone unexpectedly grabbed my hair. 2 men held me tightly, dragging me into a deeper alley, and then a resounding slap landed on my face. I sobered up and saw that the person who had struck me was Evelyn Reed. "Evelyn Reed, what are you planning to do? You got me kicked out of the upper circles. Do you think I'll let you off?" Evelyn Reed gritted her teeth. Brandon Thorne is the one who wronged you, not me.
You don't lack men, do you? Today, I'm giving you 2. Enjoy them slowly.
Evelyn Reed shrieked, endlessly cursing me and Brandon Thorne for a while, before stopping and laughing coldly. She chuckled gleefully, then stepped back. I remained calm. While talking to her, I had subtly pulled out my pepper spray and my custom anti-theft spray. Are you kidding? I'm this beautiful? There's no way I'd go out alone without any preparation. Evelyn Reed's revenge was within my expectations. I just hadn't anticipated her being so vicious. Just as I was about to use the pepper spray to counterattack, 2 men suddenly appeared in the alley and lunged at the 2 men holding me, beating them to the ground. I was taken to the hospital. When Ethan Thorne walked in, I learned that the 2 men who rescued me had been sent by him.
Miss Henderson, are you all right?
Mr. Thorne, why are you here? The man sat down next to my hospital bed, asking with concern. Ethan Thorne replied,
I just happened to be passing by and saw someone bullying you, so I lent a hand.
I don't believe you. He sat in the chair very calmly. He waved his hand, and a bodyguard immediately dragged Evelyn Reed, who was outside the room, inside. Evelyn Reed was covered in dirt, almost dragged into the room, then thrown to the ground.
Miss Henderson, she's the mastermind. How do you want to handle this?
Miss Henderson, she's the mastermind. How do you want to handle this? Ethan Thorne's voice was as calm as ever, as if nothing could faze him. Evelyn Reed was too scared to even think straight. She quickly knelt before him, bowing her head repeatedly.
Mr. Thorne, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I didn't mean it.
You dare to lay a hand on my woman? Are you tired of living?
Ethan Thorne reached out and squeezed her chin, forcing her to look up. Evelyn Reed's eyes widened in shock. I was equally stunned. Perhaps she hadn't expected that I was Ethan Thorne's woman. Who would have guessed? Even I just found out.
The person you should apologize to is not me.
The person you should apologize to is not me.
Ethan Thorne released her. Evelyn Reed immediately crawled to the edge of my bed, begging me.
Miss Henderson, I harmed you because of jealousy. Please forgive me. You are the kindest and gentlest girl. Please forgive my momentary mistake.
I'm sorry, but I'm neither gentle nor kind. Sure enough, she's very clever. Even at this point, she's trying to use morality to bind me. If I also tried to build an image of a gentle, kind woman in men's eyes like her, I might very well be forced to forgive her. I replied coldly. Evelyn Reed stared at me in shock, then turned to look at Ethan Thorne, who was silently sitting beside me, forcing a smile.
Mr. Thorne, Miss Henderson is definitely gentle and capable, right?
No.
Ethan Thorne slightly raised his eyelids, his thin lips uttering a single word. He glanced at me.
She's a wildcat who only knows how to scratch people.
She's not a wildcat. She's a public bus.
Evelyn Reed shrieked, unwilling to give up.
Mr. Thorne, Scarlett Henderson's mother has been involved with many men. She's no good either. She's a flirt and manipulative. You must know that. Why are you still defending her?
Are you still trying to slander me?
I like her exactly like that.
Ethan Thorne chuckled softly. Evelyn Reed froze.
You don't like pure women? You don't like virtuous and capable women? Don't pretend. You men are all the same. When you truly like someone, whether they're pure or not, capable or not, it no longer matters.
After Ethan Thorne finished speaking, he looked at me deeply. For some reason, my ears felt a little warm. I didn't want to see Evelyn Reed for another second. I coldly turned my head and asked, "Call the police." "No!" Evelyn Reed screamed and tried to run, but she was held back. Very quickly, the police arrived. After clarifying the facts, they took Evelyn Reed away. She would be prosecuted for intentional assault and kidnapping. A woman who had been to jail and committed so many crimes could never dream of marrying into an elite family. The dream of marrying into wealth for someone who yearned to enter high society like Evelyn Reed was more painful than death itself. When did I become your woman? When did I become your woman? Stepping out of the police station into the hazy night, I asked Ethan Thorne. He raised an eyebrow slightly.
Didn't you intentionally approach me, cling to me, and even declare that I was your target?
You knew? I was startled, looking up in surprise.
Of course I knew.
So you knew from the very beginning that I was always your target? Ethan Thorne's eyes were deep, his face serene. I blinked, asking again. Ethan Thorne nodded. Over this time, you deliberately acted distant and had people investigate my background and secretly followed me. In reality, it was to observe and evaluate me, wasn't it? I asked again. He didn't answer, but he didn't deny it, which was a tacit admission. I smiled, my eyes crinkling, and gently stroked my voluminous curly hair. Today, you publicly said I'm your woman, proving that I've passed your assessment and you're ready to accept me, right?
Wasn't all of this a plan you orchestrated, starting from the time you deliberately approached me at Starbucks?
The man, always calm and self-possessed, his eyes subtly wavering, replied in a deep, husky voice. I raised an eyebrow, my eyes sparkling innocently.
Oh, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Quote, "The truth is in." So he knew. That time at Starbucks, I intentionally approached him. Back then, Chloe had asked me to go coquette her brother, telling me to meet her at Starbucks. I said I mistook someone else, but that wasn't true. In reality, I didn't want to unnecessarily get involved with a man just to fight another woman, disrupting my own plans. But because it was inconvenient to refuse Chloe, I verbally agreed, while internally looking for ways to delay and come up with a better solution. That day, when Chloe urged me, I happened to pass by Starbucks and saw Ethan Thorne sitting outside. I immediately knew my opportunity had arrived. My primary purpose in approaching Chloe was because of Ethan Thorne. Previously, when I was a model, I almost got into trouble with someone trying to play dirty tricks on me. It was Ethan Thorne who helped me. I had a very good impression of him. Moreover, his looks, physique, and family background all perfectly matched my preferences, so I decided to pursue him. As a coquette user, one must, of course, take the initiative. Ethan Thorne was a very difficult person to approach. I chose a roundabout way, approaching Chloe and befriending her to gradually get closer to him. That day at Starbucks, I coincidentally met Ethan Thorne, and I immediately initiated the first probing step, pretending to mistake him for someone else and approaching him. If he had driven me away, meaning he wasn't interested, I would have given up, but he merely glanced at me and let me sit beside him and act coy. At that time, Ethan Thorne seemed to be on a blind date with a girl, so he used me to get rid of her. I immediately began my coquette performance, speaking tenderly and even deliberately linking my arm with his. Eventually, the other girl left in anger. I tried asking him, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Chloe told me to come here to meet you, Mr. Thorne." If he had been interested in me, he would have explained, and I would have feigned surprise at the mistake, then apologized, invited him to dinner, and found a way to get his contact information. A perfect coquette routine. But he said nothing, only looked at me deeply, then stood up and left Starbucks. When that happened, I was still unsure what he thought of me. The evening I was invited to the Thorne family mansion, Evelyn Reed and I argued in the restroom. I said my true target was Ethan Thorne. When I opened the door, I saw Ethan Thorne standing right outside. He clearly heard everything, but showed no reaction. For a man like him, not rejecting meant tacit admission. Right then, I was certain he was interested in me. During dinner, Ethan Thorne used his eyes to signal me to sit next to him. I became even more certain. Evelyn Reed then deliberately contested the seat to gain attention, but I didn't care. I pretended to charm Brandon Thorne as Chloe requested, but in reality, I used the opportunity to get close to Ethan Thorne, intentionally making physical contact to observe his reaction. This man is truly unpredictable. I can't tell if he likes me or not. After that, I appeared in front of him multiple times, and he still showed no reaction. Only now do I understand that Ethan Thorne wasn't unmoved, but was secretly observing and evaluating me in all aspects.
Will you be my girlfriend?
No. I pushed him away, raising an eyebrow. Then I turned and walked into the night, a smile slowly curving on my lips. Ethan Thorne probably didn't know that I had proactively given Evelyn Reed those photos of my mother. Evelyn Reed had already begun investigating my background, and I figured it would be exposed sooner or later, so I might as well gamble once. Many people in high society preferred virtuous and proper women. My background, to them, would be a blemish. Therefore, I chose to go against the grain, deliberately exposing my family situation, intentionally leading Ethan Thorne to investigate me, and then using my life experiences and achievements to win him over completely. Of course, if he found me distasteful, I was ready to give up. I guessed that Ethan Thorne wasn't the type of person who valued family status above all else. His vision couldn't be so narrow-minded. This was a big gamble, and luckily, I won. Mr. Thorne, you can't just keep following me, you know. I turned to the man behind me. Ethan Thorne stopped, shrugging helplessly. I chuckled, turned, and continued walking, preparing to tell Chloe the whole truth. With the previous test, I was sure she wouldn't hate me. Everything was progressing according to plan. Next, the game of love would begin, a dance of drawing near and pulling away. I knew I was using the tactic of soft power to bind hard. Ethan Thorne also knew I was doing this. If he genuinely liked me, he would naturally join the game. Love between a profound coquette user and a cold, cunning tycoon was never simple. We were taming each other, seeing who would bow first. Ethan Thorne's perspective. Sitting in Starbucks, listening to the woman in front of me incessantly boast about herself, I began to feel bored. I had no desire to develop anything further with her. From the moment I chose to invite her for coffee at Starbucks instead of a fancy restaurant, she should have understood my intention. If she were a smart woman, she would surely know when to retreat gracefully without me having to state it explicitly, at least preserving both our dignities. Unfortunately, she wasn't that intelligent. She was endlessly chattering about her study abroad experiences and the places she had traveled. I had no interest in any of it. If not for my parents forcing me, I would absolutely not be here. From the moment she used my parents to pressure me into a blind date, there was no possibility of a future between us.
I apologize, but I currently have no intention of getting married.
You're very accomplished. You'll surely find someone more suitable.
What's wrong with me?
I added. She was unwilling. Too annoying. Just as I was considering whether to let her save face, a pleasant voice suddenly chimed in from behind me. Oh my, Mr. Thorne, what a coincidence! I turned my head and saw a beautiful girl approaching. Seeing her exquisite face, I was slightly stunned because she was the girl I had met 8 years ago in Yunnan. She was too beautiful. Even after 8 years, I remembered her perfectly. That year, I refused my family's arrangements, left home to start my own business, but failed miserably, ending up completely broke and begging on the streets. I was so hungry my stomach was glued to my back when I met Scarlett Henderson. At that time, she was still in high school, and she took me to eat. For 2 consecutive days afterward, after confirming that I was in distress, she gave me $100. I told her it was too much.
It's just my pocket money for a month.
$100 wasn't a lot, but it was enough to give me the motivation to persevere. Otherwise, I might have returned home to inherit the family business, living a life controlled by my parents forever. I never expected to meet her again 8 years later. The girl called herself my childhood friend, scrutinizing me as if waiting for my reaction. I smiled, not denying it. I invited her to sit down, and she naturally sat next to me. I can use her to get rid of my blind date. She was very intelligent, immediately understanding my intent, and began to pretend intimacy. The other woman left in anger. Later, I met Scarlett Henderson again at the Thorne family mansion. She was very calculating, intentionally putting on a coquette act, like those IT girls famous for their looks, but who rely on tricks in the entertainment industry. Very beautiful on the outside, but empty within. I began to observe her, even personally putting her to the test, partly out of jealousy, of course. After all, in her eyes, there was only Brandon Thorne. She was also testing me. I neither accepted nor rejected her. Gradually, I realized she was very intelligent, good at billiards, good at cards, knowledgeable about various wines, and could discuss stocks, finance, and was fluent in foreign languages. Compared to a mere trophy wife, she was astonishingly excellent, her intelligence deeply captivating. Then, when her mother's story was exposed, I began to waver. Environment can shape a person. If her mother was a promiscuous woman, would she become a bad woman? 8 years ago, she helped me, proving she was a good person. But what about 8 years later? Even good friends can betray each other for profit. The business world is full of deception. I didn't want to marry a woman of poor character and then have to be wary of her every move. The wife I needed had to be moral, intelligent, flexible, socially adept, educated, and capable. If she fit, I would pursue her. If not, we would just be friends. I could offer money and resources, but it would stop there. After that, I had someone investigate her background and discovered she was truly outstanding. During the investigation, I learned that year, when she was a model, I was at the same venue as her. Someone tried to play dirty tricks, and I caught them. At that time, her dress was torn, her face was covered in smudged makeup like a banshee, and her long legs were pressing down on the man. I didn't recognize her at all. I took off my jacket and draped it over her. She said thank you and ran off. The man was later handed over to a friend of mine to be fired. So, I had met her before. Scarlett Henderson had a clean record. No chaotic private life, no sugar daddy backing her. She wasn't a trophy wife. On the contrary, she was very inspiring. She had outstanding academic achievements, received scholarships, and earned money for her tuition and living expenses. After potentially being exploited, she gave up modeling and transitioned to making beauty videos, breaking through powerfully among hundreds of self-media channels, attracting tens of thousands of fans. I also discovered that the photos of her mother were actually given to Evelyn Reed by Scarlett herself. How interesting. Now I understood that she was cleverly leading me to investigate her. She met all the standards I set, except for her family background. But I didn't care about family background. I am a rational person. Even if I was attracted to her from the beginning, I wouldn't rush into a relationship. After that, I had someone monitor her for 2 months, verifying all the previous investigation results. Finally, it was confirmed that she was consistent in everything she presented. At this point, I was reassured. I would definitely marry her. I knew she liked me. She poured her heart and soul into charming me, thinking I was moved by her tricks. In reality, I was moved by our past encounter years ago. Because I liked her, I accepted all her tactics. If I didn't like her, she wouldn't even have had the chance to approach me. This game of love, I was willing to dive into it. But perhaps because of my previous tests, she was a little angry. Now it was her turn to test me. I hope I can successfully pursue my wife. The end.